the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bebe Means Business Show. For those of you who don't know, I'm Bebe Clement, and I'm your host of the show. I run a group of small companies, and I'm also the author of this book, How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur. Listen, just before I came on the show, I was reading quite a staggering and startling statistic by Grant Cardone. Those of you who know who he is, he's a wealth creator guru. And he was saying something on Facebook. He said in America, there are over 155 million people employed, but less than 1% of those people are financially free. Less than 1% of 155 million people who go to work day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, less than 1% are financially free. What is the message that is trying to tell you? You are not going to become wealthy through a salary. So I cannot encourage you to get this book more than ever. This is something you have to have in your hand, and it's just $12.99 on Amazon. I'm not telling you because I want to make money out of you. Of course I want to make money, but that's not the reason. I really want you to be financially free. So there's got to be a reason why the majority of us are struggling, and very few people have become financially free. And just like I said last week, one of the reasons is because 70% or more than 70% of adults globally are financially illiterate. We don't understand how money works. We don't understand how to make it, how to keep it, how to grow it, how to protect it. We don't understand all that. And those that do, it serves them well to keep us in the dark, because then they can keep accumulating more and more and more. But I'm determined that we're going to beat them at their own game, and I want you and your family to become financially free. The Bible says that we're to create a legacy, leave a legacy, not even for our children, but for our children's children, which means we're supposed to be thinking generationally when it comes to wealth. And so today I'm going to be doing part 2 of a session that I started last week. Last week we started looking at the 7 levels of income, because we discovered that the average millionaire at any given time has about 7 different sources of income. 7, can you imagine? And then you think you're going to make it on one source of income, i.e. your salary. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So we started to look at some of those levels of income that millionaires have, so that we can educate ourselves. You know, I'm a strong believer that success leaves clues. And if success leaves clues, then you just need to pick up on the clues, do what they did to get to where they were. As long as it's legal and ethical, then do what they did to get to where they are. So last week we started looking at the 7 levels of income. And for those of you that were not able to join us last week, I'm just going to very quickly recap. I think we got up to number 3 or 4 last week. So I'm just going to very quickly recap what we discussed last week before I go into part 2 today. Okay. So the first level of income that we talked about was money. The first level of income was money. And we discussed that money, the importance of money is that it buys you options. It gives you options in life. It gives you choices. And what is life without choices? What is the point if you don't have choices over your own life? So we looked at money, and one of the options or the choices that money gives you is the ability to send your children to the best schools, where they get a great education. You can set them up for life. They make good contacts with the people who are going to be in corridors of power in the future, and you know, they get the best education. They are exposed to things in life that other people might not ordinarily be exposed to. I gave the example of my son who picked up how to play a violin when he went to private school, something he would never have done had he not gone to that school. There's no way, because violin is not really our forte. So those kind of things are important. It buys you access to social clubs where you are on first name basis with those who operate in the corridors of power and make decisions for your life and my life. So it's important to have contacts, because as we discussed last week, relationships is also a level of income that you have to leverage. So if you can make the right kind of relationships with the right kind of people, that in effect will translate into money for you. The next thing we looked at is that it helps you get the best professional advice. People who understand the system, such as tax specialists, that can help you preserve your own wealth and show you how to take advantage of tax laws, that can help you leave a legacy, just as we're instructed to do. But most importantly, the great thing about money is that it buys you time. And time is your greatest resource in life. So that was the essence of money. And we're going to have a look. We also looked at the second level of income, which was vision. And vision consists of things like ideas, dreams, plans, goals, things that may be intangible, but are no less real just because they are intangible. Like I gave the example of an architect. An architect, if you give him ask him to draw up a building for you, he can take you to a vacant, barren piece of land and walk you through a finished house, because he sees it in another dimension. It may not be physically there for you to touch and feel, but he already sees it in another dimension. The bricks and the mortar and the cement are just going to bring it into this dimension, but he's already finished it. He already sees it in another dimension. So vision is really, really important. In fact, if you can't see it, you can't be it. It's really that simple. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Which is one of the reasons why I love social housing. Now that the government is saying that if you're a private developer, if you build these really luxurious buildings and flats, you must have a percentage of it must be social housing. And I think that's really good. And the reason being is because a lot of people at the lower end of the spectrum, they believe that their neighborhood is all there is to life. So if they grow up in a neighborhood where everybody is signing on or is unemployed, there's a high level of unemployment, they think that is normal. And the chances of a child growing up in that kind of environment where his father and his grandfather just sit in the chair every day and watch TV and nobody's making any attempt to better themselves, if you grow up in that kind of environment, then it seems normal to you. But when you are exposed to your next door neighbor is a lawyer, and the one on the left hand side is a doctor, that kind of thing, and you are exposed to greater, you see differently. And once you can see it, you can be it. So it's important that we expose our kids to different experiences in life. It makes them aspire as well. So vision was very, very important. Very, very important. Vision can take you from the dumps to the palace. It can. It doesn't matter what you have in the physical. What you see in your mind's eye, what you see in here can determine your destiny. So it's really important that you see, you have vision. That's a level of income. And rich people do that a lot. They visualize a lot. They visualize. The third level that we discussed was relationships. Relationships. Now, this is probably your most important level. You've heard the saying that your network is your net worth, and that's so true. The kind of people that you hang around with will determine how much money you make. I was listening to Les Brown the other day. He said you earn within 2,000 to 3,000 of your 5 closest associates. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I think that is such a warning that you need to regularly be examining, who am I hanging around? Who am I hanging around? If you're hanging around with deadbeats, you have 7 dead broke friends, guess who's going to be number 8? It's you. So the relationships that you have are very, very important and increase your net worth. There are different areas of net worth, different relationships, and the effect that they have on your ability to produce wealth. So having mentors, people who have mentors tend to succeed financially a lot better than those that don't. Those who have a good network, a regular network, those who understand the power of collaborations and referrals, and all this is related to your network. Those in particular who go the extra mile and join things like mastermind groups, where you are exposed to other people who have experience and knowledge that they're willing to share with you, that can enable you to give birth to new ideas, to revisit old ones, to expand your consciousness of what is possible for you financially. It's really, really important. Your relationships are a level of income. They're not just they don't just have a social function, they also have a financial function, because they have an effect on how far you go financially. So it's really important also that you take the time to pick your friends, pick the right kind of friends or the right kind of people that you associate with. Okay, so that was a quick recap of what we did last week, and we're about to go into the fourth one. The fourth one is knowledge. But before we do that, I want to take a quick break. And just before you go, just to let you know that this is a live show, and we want to hear your questions. I want to get your questions and your opinions and everything, because I'm in a information sharing mood. So all your questions, I'm really eager to hear them. If you want to hook us up, our Twitter handle is @StarRadioUK, or you can text or WhatsApp us on 07539 661 That number again is 07539 661 or email us at info@StarRadioUK. Or for those of you who are joining us on Facebook, feel free to just put something in the chat. My producer will pass it to me, and I will answer as many questions as I can. We're going to take a short break, but don't go far, because I'm going to be back in a minute. See you soon.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you are listening to the Bebe Means Business Show. This is your weekly show where you get tips, advice, knowledge, everything and anything to do with business and wealth creation, and how you and I can become financially free. Today, we're looking at the 7 levels of income, particularly for millionaires, that millionaires have, that we need to hook into if we are going to become financially free as well. I shared just before the break a staggering statistic that apparently in America, over 155 million people are employed, and less than 1% of those people are financially free. Less than 1%. That is a tragedy. So to make sure that you and I don't become victims of the system, I'm doing my best to educate you today on how you can access the different levels of income and ensure that you become financially free and you leave a legacy for your children's children. Okay. So before I look at some questions, I'm going to quickly go into the 4th level of income, and that is knowledge. Knowledge is a level of income. Now, knowledge is not only income, ladies and gentlemen. Knowledge is also power, and I'll talk about that in a little while. But let's have a look at what constitutes knowledge. So included in knowledge is things like data. I'm going to come back to data, but I just want to quickly go through the list. Data, feedback, reports, complaints, questionnaires, those kind of things, all that is knowledge. Now, I want to go through each one because they're really important. Many of us are leaving money on the table because we don't understand the importance of these things. So let's look at data. Now, what is data? Data are facts and statistics that are collected for reference and for analysis. That's what data is, and that includes information. Let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, the global battlefield has changed. We are at war, There's no doubt about that. Don't for a moment think because it's seemingly peacetime in your country. We are at war. It's just that the nature of the battle, the arena for the battle, and indeed the rewards for the battle have changed. We are at war, and the battle arena is mostly cyberspace, and the weapon is data, and the reward is data. You can see what's happening with Facebook, Google, and all those kind of people. They rule the world. Whoever controls data rules the world. Whoever controls data is wealthy. It's that simple. And you have to make sure that in your sphere, your little space, in your business, you are controlling data. So you must use every opportunity possible to capture as much data as possible, because I'm telling you, it is worth a lot of money. I'll go back to that in a minute. So let's look at the different kinds of knowledge that you can access. So, for instance, it's important to find out from your clients what aspect of your business are they paying for. What are they buying? What exactly is it that they're buying? So if you think of something like McDonald's, now it would serve McDonald's well, I know they do this all the time, to look at who exactly is buying from McDonald's. Is it adults, or is it children who are pestering their parents, or is it parents who are buying because their children are buying? Or, as you well know, McDonald's often has in their kiddie meals, they have free gifts, free toys. So they do research to find out, are the children buying the meal because of the toy, or do they like the meal itself? So in other words, if we did kiddie meals that didn't have a free toy, would children still choose McDonald's over Burger King? Would they still do that? So this is the kind of information you need to be finding out about your business. Why are people buying from me? What is it that they like? What is it they like? Also, that information should also tell you what is it that they don't like. Your clients should be able to give you information about their objections, their biases, their preferences, those kind of things, so you can adopt your business accordingly and you can make more money. That's what you need to do, so you can make more money. So knowledge is really, really important. And in this day and age, when you have things like I said, data, it's really, really important. So for instance, I always have things like feedback forms. I'm a speaker, so I always have feedback forms whenever I speak. I want to know what people thought of the topic. Whether it's just me speaking or I have some friends speaking on my platform and we're all doing something together. Which of the guest speakers was your best speaker, was your favorite? Why? Was it the way they delivered the talk, or was it the topic they were talking about? So that I know next time if I'm going to have another session, let's say I'm doing a session on wealth creation, if I'm going to have another session on wealth creation, I know what areas were popular. So about a month or two ago, I did one called how to create wealth. And I had someone speak about property, I had someone speak about investing in shares and crypto, I spoke about business, and somebody spoke about, I can't remember the last thing, someone spoke about something else. So it's important for me to find out which one did you find most interesting, why? So that next time, for instance, let's say they say, well actually I have no interest on how to start a business, but I was interested in how to invest in property, then I know that the next time I do an event, I won't bother to have how to start a business. I'll just focus on the things that people want. You need to give people what they want, not what you think they should have, or not what you want to give them. You give them what they want. That's what you do. That's how you do business. So so it's important that you get feedback, because you might be surprised that what you think is a selling point in your business has nothing to do with why people are coming to you for business. Okay, the second thing that we're going to look at is things like reports. Reports also contain knowledge. So, you know, your staff do reports on their specific areas. This is really important. Don't scrimp on that. If you own the business, make sure that you read team reports, team leaders reports. Very important. It will show you things about your business that you didn't know. Most importantly, it will also show you things within the teams that you didn't know. And that's important because sometimes we lose sight of what is happening within our business because we can't be all things to all men. But if you have managers of different departments who are giving you reports about certain things that are happening in your business and you don't bother to read it, then you're really going to be in trouble. Not only is it important that you collect data, but it is important that you become data literate. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we collect data, we don't understand what the data is telling us. The data might be telling you that a particular product that you are pushing, nobody wants it. And you are spending all your marketing, you are spending all your time in pushing this product, whereas you could take that product out of the market and people's concentration might now be on other products you sell that could increase your bottom line. An example was, I remember reading, when I was reading Mary Kay Ash's autobiography, she was saying that at one time they introduced wigs into their product services. So you know Mary Kay, she sells cosmetics. But she said at one time, because they were popular, they introduced wigs, hair wigs, into their offering. But after a while, they began to feel, based on some of the feedback that they were getting from their staff that were going out into the field, that the wigs were distracting from their main offering, which was cosmetics. So even though the wigs were selling, but they felt that they were distracting from their main offering. So in the end, they removed wigs from their offering and then made certain high-selling products more prominent. And that increased their sales like no man's business. So it's important that you get that kind of information so that you are not losing money that is there for the taking. Okay. One of the things I think is very, very underutilized or has a negative connotation, which should not necessarily be so, is the whole issue of complaints. Complaints are not necessarily a bad thing. Why do I say that? Because I think most people understand that there is no business that runs 100% perfectly all the time. I mean, if we just think about our own private lives, if you come away from business and you think about your private life, nothing, with all the best intentions, nothing goes well 100% all the time. Nothing. So most people get that there are going to be times when you're going to drop the ball, there are going to be times when you're going to make mistakes. They get that. But what is important is what you do when that happens, how you react when that happens. That's the important thing. So for instance, last week I was trying to get hold of Legal & General on their phone line. It's an insurance company in the UK. And their phone line had a long voice message, and then when you got to the voice message, when you thought that they were going to put you through, it just went dead. So I was really upset about this after spending God knows how long on the phone to have it just go dead. And I did that about 2 or 3 times. There was definitely an error at the end. So when I couldn't get hold of anybody, I just went on Twitter and just sent them out a tweet. And immediately they contacted me on Twitter and sent me a tweet back and apologized profusely and said they would have somebody contact me immediately, which they did. So Legal & General customer service, thank you very much for correcting that. But I understand that not everything will go well 100% of the time. But it's what you do about the mistakes that is important. So one of the things that complaints are good for, complaints can show you where you are exposed in your business. In other words, where your systems have problems, it can show you. And you might not necessarily be aware of that, except somebody complains. So it also gives you an opportunity to correct certain things. It might also give you an opportunity to identify a particular member of staff or members of staff that are a hindrance or a liability to your business. So let's say I keep getting complaints about my secretary. Perhaps my secretary was rude on the phone, or my secretary was not very helpful, or she promised to call somebody back and she didn't. By the time I get 2, 3, 4 similar complaints about the same member of staff, then it's time for me to call that member of staff in and to start dealing with the issue of maybe we need to go down the disciplinary route with this member of staff. So complaints are not necessarily a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. They are things that they can help you improve your offering. which only increases your money if you do it correctly. I'll give an example. A few years ago, I had this client. She was a very good client, actually. She was my best client for that year. And I send out interim invoices. So I sent her an invoice, and I overbilled her. I overbilled her quite considerably. So she rang me and she said, "Bebe, I think you've made a mistake with this invoice." So I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, I think you have." So I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. Let me have a look at it for you, and I'll get back to you." And when I checked, she was right. I mean, I really overbilled her by over £1,000. It was a little bit of money. It was a considerable amount of money. So I was like, how am I going to correct this now? So I think the whole bill was about 2004, 2005. So I called her and I said to her, "You know what? You are so right. I have overcharged you. I am so sorry." And she said, "No, that's okay. I know it was a genuine mistake." I was happy when I heard that. She didn't think I was trying to defraud her. She said, No, I know it was a genuine mistake. But I always try to put things right. So I said, "You know what? Your bill is 2004. Forget the 400. Just pay the 2000." She was like, "No, baby, there's no way I could do that. No, you've done the work and I'm happy with the work. It was just the bill." I said, "No, it's more important to me that I correct this mistake." And so I did. I didn't take the 2004. I just took the 2000. And she, of course, she was ecstatic. And of course, she gave me more clients. She referred more clients to me. So again, that increased my bottom line. A complaint that I was able to correct increased my bottom line and brought me more clients. Okay. And again, that also showed me a weakness in my system because I had written out that invoice. And I was relying on my own calculations. So from then on, I always have another member of staff check an invoice before it goes out. So again, that was an exposure of a weakness in my system. All right, I'm going to take another break, and when we come back, I'm going to see if we have any questions, and I'm going to be answering those questions. Once again, if you do have any questions for us, you can hook us up on Twitter. That's at Star Radio UK. Or give us a call on 07539661744. That number again, that's 07539661744, and I will see you immediately after the break.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bebe Means Business show, and this afternoon we're talking about the 7 levels of income that millionaires have at any given time. So you and I can't afford to have just one source of income. You must do what those who are financially free are doing so that you too can join the ranks of the financially free. Just before the break, we were looking at the level of income called knowledge, and we were looking at feedback and reports and complaints. Now, we also looked at the fact that knowledge is power. It's not just income, it is power. But that power also translates into money. Now, I read a quote a few years ago. I'm not sure whether it is Robert Kiyosaki, but it was attributed to him. He said, "Knowledge is the new currency, and public speaking is the new bank." Knowledge is the new currency, and public speaking is the new bank. And I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, may I humbly say that I am living proof that that quote is true. And in these times, particularly since COVID, you can see that knowledge is big money, is big business. What you know that you can monetize is amazing. And it's not just knowing the facts. You need to be able to relay that information in a way that is clear, in a way that is consistent, and in a way that influences people into buying your products and services. But if you can do that, if you can learn how to do that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, the rewards can be untold. You have webinars, you have seminars, you have video marketing, you have podcasts, radio shows, blogs, Clubhouse. That's the new kid on the block, Clubhouse. If you haven't tried that Clubhouse, can I strongly encourage that you do so. You will meet all kinds of people, all kinds of fantastic mentors on Clubhouse. So please get involved in that. But these are all avenues in which you can make money, make a lot of money. People are willing to pay you for information. For those of you particularly who can speak clearly, confidently, and convincingly, the sky's the limit. We have companies who are chasing us to come and speak, to be brand ambassadors, to all those kind of things, particularly for those of you who are in the black community, because right now we are the flavor of the month because of everything that's going on globally in relation to black people. Suddenly people want to get into the black market, into the black business community. So this is a good time. This is a good time. If you are a black entrepreneur, this is the best time for you. Times have never been so good, but you need to be able to pass that knowledge on in a way that your target audience will understand. Okay, so that's knowledge. Knowledge is power. So learn to use your power and how to make money from it. Okay, things like questionnaires are also important as well. So make sure you have questionnaires for your customers and potential customers as well. All right, let's have a look at reputation. Reputation is level 5. Reputation is a level of income that is often underutilized. It is also the loudest level, so you've got to be very, very careful with reputation. Now, reputation is represented by what people say about you in the marketplace. That's your reputation. What do people say about you in the marketplace? And what people say about you in the marketplace is heavily dependent on how you are perceived. And how you are perceived has a lot to do with your branding, especially if you're building your business as a personal brand. So you have to be very, very clear in your mind, what is the message that I want people to get about my business? That's basically your branding. What message do I want them to get? And then you have to use different mechanisms to find out whether that is actually the message they're getting. So let's say, for instance, you are you are selling a high-end product. Let's say you were selling. All right, I'll give an example. I was speaking on a platform last week, and one of the ladies I was coaching on, not under my platform, I was coaching under another company's platform. But one of the ladies who owned a designer jewelry company, she obviously, because it was designer jewelry, she's on the high end of the spectrum. Her prices are quite high. Her products are quite bespoke. They're tailored. She does individual pieces of jewelry, and then she was looking for how to write her marketing material. And after describing herself as a designer jeweler, she then had the words. She then said something about being very affordable, and I was able to show her that those two concepts don't go side by side. You are going to confuse people with your message. You're either high-end, and don't apologize for being high-end, because as long as you are bringing value, your product is bringing value, they're beautiful, they're well-packaged, they're bespoke, that kind of thing. As long as your product is bringing value, people will pay for it. There's nothing like, and I say this often, but it's so true, there is nothing like a product that is too expensive. Nothing. Somebody out there has money to pay for it. It depends on where you position yourself in the market and whether you give value. So I was able to show, listen, you need to decide where you want to sit in the market. Are you going to sit in the affordable end of the spectrum, and there's nothing wrong with that? Or are you going to sit at the designer level, which is what you proposed, is what you said. So she understood now that, okay, my marketing, my branding has to reflect where I'm positioning myself in the market. So your reputation is really, really important. So you need to listen to feedback about what is said about you, good or bad. Don't shy away from what is bad. And don't take it personal. If somebody says, you know what, I don't like your products are rubbish, don't take it personally. Once you've got past your bruised ego, take that information and let it work for you. Okay, why does this person think my products are rubbish? I think my products are pretty good. So why does this person think my products are rubbish? That kind of thing. Or, like I'm a speaker, if somebody comes to an event that I'm holding and goes away and tells somebody else, oh, I heard Bebe Clement speak, and you know what, she wasn't very good. That's never going to happen, by the way. But let's say somebody did. I need to find out what was her experience, what exactly happened that she felt she felt that she was not going to ever come to one of my seminars again. Was it the topic I was speaking about? Was it the way I delivered it? Was it my tone, or what was it? Was it the venue? Was it or was it the IT? Did my IT let me down? Maybe my Wi-Fi kept dropping. All those kind of things. I need to find out what was it that made it a bad experience for this client, because it's going to affect your reputation. They say that if somebody is not satisfied, if somebody is satisfied with your services, they tell you. But if they're not satisfied with your service, they tell at least 10 other people. And in the day of social media, those 10 other people can translate into 100,000 people with a few clicks on the keyboard. So it's really, really important that you have the right reputation. And let me tell you, your reputation precedes you. I cannot tell you the number of events I've been to, and I'll get introduced to somebody and I'll say, oh, my name is Bebe Clement, and somebody will say, oh, I know you. And it's not true. They don't know me. They've never met me before, but they've seen certain things that I've posted online, and so as a result of that, of reading or listening to something I've said online, they have formed a perception about me. And that perception might be totally different from who I am or from what my services represent. But they've gotten some kind of message from what I've said. So it is really, really important that you maintain the right kind of reputation. Right kind of reputation. If your reputation is bad, you need to do something about it. One of the ways in which you have the right kind of reputation is if you maintain your integrity in the marketplace. Integrity is not everything. Integrity is the only thing. I'm going to say that again because I think that's really important. Integrity is not everything. It is the only thing. No integrity, no business. So you need to know, and integrity covers every aspect of my business and should do yours. So your clients need to know that when they call your office, your secretary will be polite. That's part of the integrity of your business. Your clients need to know that when you tell them that the job will be done by Wednesday afternoon, they'll have the file on their desk by Wednesday afternoon. They should not be ringing you on Saturday morning and your phone is switched off. That affects your integrity. Your integrity affects your reputation. So these things are so important because reputation is the loudest level of income. And if the loudest level of income is negative, then you are in trouble. You will not make money. One of the things that Apple does is they protect their reputation. They built up a fantastic reputation. And I love it. They built up a reputation that the little things matter. So I think I've given this example before, but apparently at the back of an Apple phone, you know all the wires that are normally in the back of the phone, each one is strategically placed. They're not just chucked in there like a lot of other companies apparently. Each one is strategically placed and numbered in a very orderly fashion. They know where it is, they know what it does, each one. And so when that information, I remember when that information came out, I know the effect that had on me. That built trust in me. I was like, wow, that is fantastic. If they take so much care about a part of their business that I'm never even going to see, because I've never taken my Apple products apart, a part of their product that their customers are probably never ever going to see, they still took the time to do that, then that says to me the parts that I do see, I can trust. So can you see how your reputation is so important? So important. And see where they position themselves in the market, at the top end. And yet, people are lined up outside their their shops overnight, just when a new product comes out, even though they're probably the most expensive in the market. So this is really, really important that your reputation is intact. Okay, I'm going to very, very quickly do property, very quickly. See if we can get through that. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the program so far. So let's go into property. For those of you who are joining us just now, this is Bebe Clement, and you are watching and listening to Bebe Means Business. And today we're looking at 7 levels of income for millionaires that you and I need to tap into so we can join their ranks pretty soon. Okay, so now I'm going to look at property. Now, this is the stationary level. This is the most stationary level of income. And of course, there are different types of property. There's outright ownership of a property. There are freeholds. There are leaseholds. And I'll just very quickly just talk you through them. So outright ownership of a property, those of you who have paid off your mortgage, well done, well done. It's not easy, so well done. But those of you who have a freehold, fantastic. A freehold, you own the property, but there's a mortgage on it, nothing wrong with that. And even that is an income. It is collateral, because if, for instance, you wanted to start a business or you wanted to invest in something else and you were looking to borrow some money, the fact that you own your own property and you have kept up the mortgage payments consistently says a lot about you and your ability to handle financial matters, integrity in financial matters. And lenders are more likely to lend somebody like that who owns their own property and has kept up the mortgage payment. So even that, can you see that just the discipline of owning property can be a money earner for you? But the property itself, as you well know, property is one of the best investments. If outside of like a property crash, property tends to increase. Irrespective of what you do with it, it tends to, market forces alone tend to make it increase. I remember when we first bought our first property cost us about £53,000, and when we sold it about 7 years later, we sold it for about £180,000 in 7 years. There are very few things that you're going to invest in that's going to give you that kind of return. So property is really, really good to have. Leaseholds are also good to have. Leasehold is you own the property, but you don't own the land. So again, that's a tip for you. If you're looking to buy property, particularly in the UK, if you have an opportunity to buy freehold, buy freehold. Even if you have an opportunity to buy a share of the freehold, buy that, because sometimes people sell their share of the property, you're able to buy more of that share. But like I said, leasehold, you don't own the land. Now, the problem with that is you are then beholden to the freeholder, because the freeholder can charge you ground rent. And ground rent, again, is another source of income. So can you see how property brings in a lot of income? So you own the property itself. That in itself can bring in, you can use it as collateral. It increases in value, which also brings income. You can let it out, which also brings income. But you can also charge things, if you produce leaseholds, make leaseholds out of the freehold, you can also charge things like ground rent, which is another way of making money. In fact, there are some people who don't buy property. All they specialize is they go to auction and they buy ground rents. That's what they do. So that alone is something for you to look into if you're thinking of something to invest in. So once you do that, you make more money. You can also make money from service charges, the maintenance of the building. So you can say something like, okay, you know what, we want to paint this building now. It's looking a bit shabby. We want to paint this building. The leaseholder pays for it. The leaseholders pay for it, pretty much. Now you can have a deal with whoever is painting it and say, okay, I'll give you the work, but I want 20% of the referral. There's so many ways in which property can make money for you. So there's lots that you can do with property. I strongly encourage you to do that, to buy that. Another source of property for you to look at is land. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are from other parts of the world, Africa, the West Indies, wherever, if you are able to buy land, please buy land for a number of reasons. One, it is a limited commodity, and anything that is limited goes up in value. God ain't making no more of it. This is all we got. So those who control land make money. Again, you don't have to do anything with the land. I mean, I buy and sell land on behalf of the African diaspora in the UK. I help them buy and sell land in Nigeria. I'm trying to expand that at the moment to other African countries. I think I'm going to Rwanda next. But yes, you don't have to do anything with the land. You can buy it and keep it. It will increase in value. Just sitting there, it will increase in value. You can also do other things with it. You can buy large pieces. I would encourage you to buy in areas that are not yet developed, underdeveloped communities. Buy them, because the rate of development in Africa is scary. It's scary, and the Chinese understand this. The Chinese have bought up everything that moves by way of land in my country. So you who own the country, you need to be taking advantage of that. So you buy the land, you can partition it, and then start selling it off. So you could buy like 3 acres and then partition it into plots and sell the plots. Of course, you would make a lot more money that way. Or you can start building if you have the capital to build. Start building estates. These are very popular now in Africa. Start building estates, particularly for those who are in the diaspora who want to come home and they want somewhere nice to come home to. They want somewhere that pretty much meets the standards of what they're used to. So you can build. If you don't have enough money to build, you can collaborate with builders. I know some people who they do collaborations. They provide the land, the builders build on it, and then once they sell the property, everybody splits the proceeds. So there's so much you can do with land and property. There again, if you do want to buy land in Nigeria, please let me know. I can assist you in doing that. But most importantly, please get this, most importantly is the whole issue of farmland. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you are listening to what is happening behind the scenes, but food is becoming an issue. Food, or the shortness thereof, is becoming and will continue to be a global issue. And again, we need to take clues, follow the clues of the rich. I think I mentioned this last week, but Bill Gates is now the single highest owner of farmland in the whole of America. Now that man's father didn't raise no fool. If he's buying farmland, he's doing it for a reason. He wants to be able to control the food chain. So if he's doing that, you need to be doing the same thing. So if you can buy farmland, buy it, please, and keep it. Again, start growing food. If you can do that, start growing food. Because food shortage is going to become a global issue. You heard it here first. And those who take a word is enough for the wise, they say. Those who take that and run with it and do something with it, I don't think they will have any cause to regret that. Now, property is not just stationary. You have intellectual property, property of the mind or the human intellect. And that includes things like ideas, domain registration. Domain registration is property. Very important property. Then you have things like trademarks, patents. A patent is a legal right to stop people using or making an invention for a limited amount of time. Patents and trademarks, domain registration, and ideas, all these things are money, big time. I remember there's a story, maybe I'll end on this actually. There's a story that I heard a couple of years ago. This is a true story. This guy was in a restaurant in Mayfair in London, and on the table next to him there were a group of guys who were very loud and very rude, and were disturbing everybody else, were just spoiling the feeding experience for everybody else. And so one of the guys on this table went over to them and said, guys, do you mind just toning it down a little bit? You're kind of disturbing the rest of the restaurant. And they were extremely rude to him. They swore at him, and they were very, very rude. In fact, they humiliated him. Now, it turned out that they were celebrating some multi-million-dollar deal that they had just closed. That's what they were celebrating. And he left the table and went back to his seat quite humiliated. And unfortunately for them, and this also ties back to the whole knowledge thing, knowledge being power. Unfortunately for them, whilst they were talking, they mentioned the name of the company that they had started, that was going to do this business, that just closed this deal. And he was sitting at his table, and he Googled the name, and he discovered that they'd not registered the domain name. And he immediately bought the domain name. And he took great delight in going over to their table and showing them that he had just bought the domain name for their company. And that pretty much will close the deal, because if they don't have the domain name, in the way business is done now, there's very little they can do. He bought all variations of the domain name, and there's nothing they can do. They would have to buy it from him. There's nothing they can do. Either that, or they have to change the name of the company. They would have to buy it from him. So yes, property of the mind is just as, if not even more, lucrative as a level of income than even stationary property. Really, really important. If you have an idea, make sure you trademark it. Don't let somebody steal it. Be careful with your domain registrations. Make sure you get them. If you haven't registered your domain name, make sure you do it. Your ideas, be careful who you share your ideas with as well, because they will steal them, and it increases money. All right, I'm going to end with one story that's also in line with sharing your ideas. I remember when I was reading Richard Branson's book, Losing My Virginity, and he told a story of how he was trying to do a deal with a guy in the music industry, and the guy was just not playing ball at all. I think they were at dinner and they were talking, and the guy was not playing ball at all. And then in the end, the guy kind of laughed him to scorn and said, "Not going to happen. There's nothing you can do. I'm not going to do it, blah, blah." And then he told him that he was about to sign some French singer who Richard Branson had never heard of. And so they parted ways, and that was the end of that. So as soon as they finished the meeting, Richard Branson called his staff and asked them, "Have you ever heard of this guy?" I can't remember the guy's name. And they said yes, that he's going to be the next big thing in France. That nobody knows who he is yet, but he's going to be the next, for want of a better person, next Michael Jackson of France. So the guy said, so Richard Branson said, "Get him on the phone and try and sign him." So they did. They got him on the phone, and in the end, he was able to talk the guy into signing with him. So the guy didn't sign with the other one. He signed with Richard Branson. And it was true. That guy was the next big thing in France. So Richard Branson, through the knowledge that he got from that guy who couldn't keep his mouth shut, made a whole lot of money from that French musician. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining the BB Means Business Show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things, and please let me know. We'd love to get your feedback so that we can keep making programs that help you on your journey to becoming financially free. Stay safe, make some money, and like I always say, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life. Bye.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful